I don't have a problem with the WNBA players asking for a raise. The WNBA is on a hot streak. I don't care about the previous 24, 25 years. As an investment, it's starting to pay off. And so this week they wore T-shirts saying, making a statement, you better pay us. But instead of just leaving it at that, Kelsey Plum for LA had to take a dig at Caitlin Clark.
What happens when jealousy turns so toxic that Colin Cowherd feels compelled to step in and completely dismantle someone on national television? What happens when a veteran player's petty remark becomes the most embarrassing moment of her career? That's exactly what unfolded when Kelsey Plum took a shot at Caitlin Clark, and Cowherd responded with such force that the fallout may be impossible to escape.
It's time to grow up, girls, fast. Like this is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow.
This isn't just sports drama. This is about one of the most ungrateful attacks on the very player who helped rescue the WNBA from obscurity. And when Colin Cowherd finished dismantling Kelsey Plum, the entire league was forced into a long overdue reality check. But first, let's rewind to the moment that laid bare the uglier side of WNBA politics. The All-Star Game was meant to symbolize unity. Players wore shirts bearing a powerful message: pay us what you owe us. It was a call for solidarity, a public demand for fair compensation. The message was strong. The timing was right. The league was finally generating real revenue. Then Kelsey Plum changed the tone. Seated beside Sabrina Ionescu at the press conference, Plum delivered a petty remark that shifted the focus and exposed far more than she likely intended.
Well, it was a very powerful moment. We didn't, at least as players, we didn't know that was going to happen. So I think it was kind of like a genuine surprise. But the T-shirt, just united front, was determined this morning that we had a meeting for. And, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
The room went cold. Even Ionescu looked uncomfortable, awkwardly laughing it off.
We had a very... that really needed to be mentioned. I'm trying to make a situation light, okay? But
the room instantly went quiet. Even Sabrina Ionescu looked uncomfortable, nervously laughing it off. But Kelsey Plum wasn't finished. She doubled down, taking a cheap shot at the very player who made those paychecks possible. What makes it even more embarrassing? Caitlin Clark wasn't even playing. She was injured, stuck on the sidelines. And yet, she still wore the shirt. She still stood with her teammates. She still showed up when unity mattered most. So, what exactly was Plum trying to prove? Why go after the one person driving the league's surge in relevance and revenue? That's when Colin Cowherd stepped in and delivered one of the most ruthless verbal takedowns sports media has seen in years. He didn't just defend Clark. He pulled back the curtain on the toxic culture eating away at the WNBA from the inside. And what he said forces a complete rethink of everything you thought you understood about this situation.
So the T-shirts don't bother me. But why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the color of a highlighter. Now you're flying private.
Let that reality settle in for a second. Before Caitlin Clark reshaped this league, many players were scraping by, flying on budget airlines, paying out of pocket for basics like water, staying in cut-rate motels, and competing in front of crowds so small you could count them by hand. Even the WNBA's most successful franchises were bleeding money year after year. Merchandise sales were so weak that fans struggled to find jerseys at all. Then Clark arrived, and everything shifted almost instantly. What followed was nothing short of unprecedented in professional sports. Merchandise sales skyrocketed. League-wide attendance surged. Teams that had been hemorrhaging cash suddenly turned profitable. The Indiana Fever went from a financial mess to having a season ticket waiting list. And this is where Colin Cowherd's analogy lands like a hammer.
Okay, if you're in a band and you're staying at the Motel 6 and you add a band member and now you're at the Ritz-Carlton, keep your issues to yourself. All right, you went from a Motel 6 in a sketchy part of town to a 4 Seasons in the shopping district.
The imagery couldn't be more fitting. It perfectly captures what actually happened. These players went from barely getting by to enjoying real comfort, all because one rookie shattered everything they thought they knew about women's basketball. And how did they respond? By turning on her. If you're enjoying Colin Cowherd's takedown so far, hit that like button and drop "Go Caitlin Clark" in the comments, because what comes next is even more ruthless. Cowherd wasn't done dismantling Kelsey Plum's argument. He was only getting started.
I don't mind the t-shirts. I think you have leverage. I think you deserve more than 9%. But it's just misstep after misstep. It's time to grow up, girls. Like fast. Like this is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow. Right? She got you an upgrade to a better hotel as a band member.
Step back for a second and really process how absurd this situation is. Caitlin Clark pulled in $11 million in endorsements this year alone. She doesn't need the WNBA to secure her future. She's financially set no matter what happens with league salaries. The WNBA, on the other hand, needs her. She's the reason sponsors are finally paying attention to women's basketball. She's the reason TV ratings jump every time she steps on the floor. She's the reason young fans are buying jerseys faster than they can be produced. And yet, some veteran players still take shots at her, as if she somehow owes them something. The All-Star voting exposed just how deep that resentment runs. When fans voted for guards, where did Caitlin Clark finish? First. When the players voted, 9th. Let that sink in. The league's biggest attraction, the player filling arenas and driving record merchandise sales, was ranked 9th by the very players benefiting from her impact. The level of pettiness here is truly unbelievable.
I think they deserve a big raise, maybe not 50% of revenues, because NBA stars, there's a lot of them, and they move the needle. The WNBA stars, well, there's one that moves the needle.
The truth lands harder when someone finally says it out loud. And Colin Cowherd did exactly that, with ruthless clarity. As he put it, you can't fight a wave if you don't recognize what real success looks like. That's when he delivered the comparison that made everything click, the Michael Jordan parallel that perfectly explains what we're witnessing. Cowherd pointed out that Caitlin Clark didn't just improve, she accelerated. Her rise mirrors the early stages of Jordan's career, when his dominance arrived faster than anyone was prepared for. Defenses had no choice but to body her up, double-team her, or risk being completely exposed. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Both Clark and Jordan entered their leagues as electrifying rookies who instantly changed the game. Jordan turned the NBA into a global powerhouse. Clark is doing the same for the WNBA right now. Both triggered resentment from veterans who suddenly found themselves in someone else's shadow. Both endured excessive physical play meant to intimidate them. And both forced their teams to bring in protection just to survive the targeting. The parallels aren't exaggerated. They're unmistakable. The physical targeting of Caitlin Clark isn't fading. It's escalating. But like the greats before her, every hard foul and cheap shot only makes her stronger. The jealousy directed her way isn't slowing her down. It's exposing how threatened some veterans truly are. The smart players, Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston, understand what's happening. They chose to build with Clark, not compete against her, and they'll be remembered as part of her rise. Others, like Kelsey Plum, risk being left behind. Colin Cowherd's message was blunt. The WNBA needs Clark far more than she needs the league. She's the needle mover, the ratings driver, the reason the league finally resonates with mainstream fans. Since her arrival, every meaningful metric has surged. Fight the wave or ride it. That's the choice. Caitlin Clark is the future of women's basketball, and anyone trying to stop her is only speeding up what's inevitable.